Hi, this is Miss Harrell, and we are going to be working on Unit 7, Lesson 2. And we're going to be working on something called dilations. Before we get into exactly what dilations are, I want to have a little bit of explore activity. So you're going to be pushing pause a lot and trying some things, and then coming back and listen to and kind of discuss back with me, if that makes sense. So right here, we have two images. We have a pre-image, which is the starting image, and we have the image. Okay. Now, Miss Harrell, how can you tell which one's the image and the pre-image? Well, I'm so glad you asked. So if you look, this triangle here, our A has a little apostrophe, and that's called a prime. Then we have a B prime and C prime. That means this triangle is A prime, B prime, C prime. Okay. Now, that means we know that this triangle to the left is our original, it's our pre-image. Translations, when we move the image from over here to over here, or say from over here up here, we never changed the size of the shape. It stayed the same. But if we look at this image, I want you to ask yourself, did we change size when we moved from here to there? Yeah, we did. We changed size. So when we stayed the same size, that is something that we call congruent. But this shape is not congruent. So what are we going to do? Now on your slides, you're going to see little red X's and Y's, and you're going to fill in. So listen to instructions, and I want you to pause the video and fill them in. What you're going to do is you're going to first find the coordinates. So right here we have our A. Where's our A? It's right there. So I need to fill in my X coordinate. Well, my X is 4 and my Y is 1. Now I want you to fill that coordinate in for both A, B, and C. Write down your X and your Y. And then I want you on this side, I want you to go to the prime triangle and fill in your A, B prime, C prime, A prime, B prime, C prime. So hit pause, type in those numbers, and then hit play and come back to us. Okay, so you should have hit pause, so I'm going to go ahead and fill them in. So for our B point, we were right here, which is 5, and over, which is 4. Our C was 6, and over 1. Now look, if I look at my prime triangle, and I look at A prime X was 12 and 3, and then B prime was 15 and 12, and C prime was 18 and 3. Okay, so what I want you to do, that 18 is not very readable. What I want you to do is look from this table to this table. Do you see any pattern? Do you see any something? What could we have done to the X's and the Y's to the table on the left to create the X's and the Y's on the table on the right? If you think you see a particular number, I want you to type it here. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. I want you to pause it just like before, and I want you to fill in A, B, C, D, and then A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. These are the primes, and these are the pre-images. Okay, I'm hoping you paused. You typed in your X and Y where you saw the red X and Y, and here we go. So for A, we had the 0.3 and over 3. B, we have 5 and 4. C is 6 and 2. And D is 3 and 1. Okay? Those are our X, Y coordinates for these points. So now I'm going to look at this quad, the prime. So A prime is here. A prime is 9 and 9. B prime is 15 and 12. C prime is 18 and 6. And D prime is 9 and 3. Okay, so again, I'm going to ask you, do you see a pattern from this table over here? Did we multiply times anything? Did we divide times anything? What did we do? And I want you to type it here. So let's go back to our triangle and look at it. What did I do to the number 4 to get to 12? Well, you could have added 8, but if I look at 5 and I tried to add 8 there, 5 plus 8 is not 15. So adding is not the answer, because whatever we do to one x, we need to do to the other. So what did I do? Well, would multiplying times 3 work? 4 times 3 is 12, okay. 5 times 3 is 15, that worked. 6 times 3 is 18. Oh, so what I did here is I multiplied times 3. And what we're going to look and see is the same thing happened to x, because if we multiply the x times 3, then we need to multiply the y times 3, and we need to check and see if that happened. Well, 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3, 12. 1 times 3 is 3. So the scale factor on this is 3. So dilation, okay? Dilation is talking about the rule. What is our rule? Well, our rule is when we create a generalized. It doesn't matter what our x is, and it doesn't matter what our y is. We're creating a rule for that. And since I multiplied it times 3, I put my 3 in front of both my x and my y. Now, how is this different than when we did translations? So when we moved this image and we didn't change the size, we wrote x plus 3 and y plus 3. That means we moved it 3 to the right, and 3 up. Okay? That left the size, the shape the same size. This was translation. Dilation is changing the size. So the size changed. Okay, because we're multiplying. So let's look and see if we can figure out this scale factor. What did we do to our x to create this x? What did we multiply by? It's 3 again. So again, if we write this dilation rule, we write 3x and 3y. Now I want you to practice this, okay? You see these points at the top, and you're going to drag those points over to the side, and you're going to actually plot those points, okay? I did the first one for you. We went up 4 and 2, and we've got a point, okay? So now I want you to plot the point 6 and 2. If I go over 6, up 2 is right here, and 4 and 5 is right there. And now all I have to do is draw the triangle. So we're going to dilate this, which means we're going to change the size. I'm going to multiply my, I don't have a red, or a purple, so we'll use red. I'm going to multiply each of these points times 2 to get triangle, the purple triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. So 4 times 2, I want you to pause and see if you can fill these in. You should have some red X's and Y's that you need to type in there. I hope you hit pause, so let's see. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 6 times 2 is 12. 2 times 2 is 4. And if you need to use the calculator, you have the calculator on your Chromebook, so just double check your work. And on C, 4 times 2 is 8, and 5 times 2 is 10. So now I want you to drag these purple points over and plot them. Pause and take a time to do that. So we have points 8 and 4, 12 and 4, and 8 and 10. And I'm going to draw my lines and create this triangle. Okay, so my A prime, B prime, C prime triangle is twice the size as my other one, and that rule is 2x, 2y. So now we're going to look at the green. This time we're going to multiply by 1/2. Now, if you don't know how to do that, we're going to use our calculator. And we use calculator, we talk about decimals. So we can take 1 divided by 2, and I turn that into 1/2 is equal to 0.5. But I can also think about this another way. If we reach all the way back to 6th grade, the reciprocal multiplying, let me do that a different way, multiplying by 1/2 is the same as, what's the opposite of multiplication? Dividing by 2. Okay. Multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So let's double check this work. If I have 4 times 0.5, 4 times 0.5, that gives me the number 2. Let's double check. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. So we can multiply by 1/2 and divide by 2 and get the same answer. Is that true all the time? Well, let's see. We have to check our y. So 2 divided by 2 gives me the number 1. So what if we multiplied it? 2 times 0.5 gives me 1. Okay, so you should see mathematically, you can choose which way you want to do it. I can divide by 2 off the top of my head, so that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes you may need to use the calculator. You have a tool, you just have to decide when you're going to use it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. So we're going to have a partial one. So let's plot these points. 2, 1, it's right here. 3, 1, it's right here. And 2 by 2.5. It's going to be right about there. Because this right here is 3. So we're going to go right in the middle. Now, if we look, our green triangle, A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, is half of our blue triangle, which is ABC. You see? Now, what is it called when we make it bigger? And when you take and make an object bigger, it's called an enlargement. When you take a triangle and you make it smaller, it's called a reduction. And you're going to see that in some of your practice questions. So let's look at this right here. And we need to decide what the rule is and whether we multiply if we're making enlarging or we're reducing. So how do I take this point? Well, if I don't know, if I write my A, I'm going to compare my A x and y to my A prime x and y. So my A prime x and y is 0, 4, my A 0, 2. So we're going from here to here. Already I can tell that my new is bigger than my old. So I know that this is going to be a whole number. I'm making it bigger, which means it's an enlargement. The question is by how much? I think it's going to be times 2 because 4 and 2, but I have to check and see. So my next numbers, B and B prime. So b is 2 and negative 1. And then let me see. If I think it's times 2, so 2 times 2 would give me 4. And negative 1 times 2 would give me negative 2. Is that my points? Oh, it is. So we just found our rule. Our rule is 2x and 2y. We're multiplying our x coordinates and our y coordinates by 2. Okay. I want you to see if you can figure this one out on your own. Pause it and then come back to me. So you should have paused it. And we're going to compare A and A prime and B prime. And you can look as many points as you need to figure this out. And I'm going to show you a little trick. So in this one, you have to figure out what A is. A here is 2 and 6. And A prime is 1 and 3. B is 2 and 2. B prime is 1 and 1. Now this one's not as easy to see. So would you like to see a little trick? So the trick to figure this out is to take your new number, new x, over the old x. Now you can pick any points you want. So I'm going to start with A and A prime. So I'm going to take my new x, which actually my new x is 1. And I'm going to take my old x, which is 2. And guess what? That's my scale factor. Miss Harrell, that's so easy. I know it is. So then if I rewrite this, my rule is 1/2 x and 1/2 y. Okay? So now I'm going to want you to go to your guided practice the Edpuzzle and the quizzes, and you will have an independent practice coming up next Monday. You should be map testing. So I'm trying to go a little bit easier on you. Doesn't mean that you don't need to be checking in each day, but here's your work that you need to do. Hope you're having a great day. If you have any questions, then just please reach out to us.